Si was working on the day before Christmas Eve. She had gone home from work not feeling great. That night my parents had stayed up with her. She had a slight temperature, but the paracetamol was bringing it down. So they didn't feel the need, and there wasn't any need to be bringing her to the doctor at that point. The next morning though, they had said that night that they would bring her to the doctor the next morning, which they did. So that was Christmas Eve morning. I had rang her and she was outside the chemist and she was crying, complaining of the pain in her back, her lower back. But also at the same time giving out about how long my dad was taking in the chemist. So there was still a slight bit of humour to, you know, she wasn't completely incapable of giving out still, so she wasn't that bad. But at the same time, I have to say, even at the time, I had felt, God, you know, it's strange anyone to be complaining about a pain in their back that was that bad. But that was around 9 o'clock in the morning, and then I gone and I was getting a few bits done for Christmas. Rang her then, I was coming home that day. I'd rang her then around lunchtime to see how she was, and it was like talking to a completely different person. She was not a bother. She said, fine, grand, and asked me to pick her up cigarettes and credit, and that she'd see me when I came home. So I came home and everything was fine. It was your typical Christmas Eve. We were all getting ready, and there was slight excitement, I suppose, towards me being pregnant. And, you know, we were sitting down making a laugh of names for the child and everything. So that night she slept in her own bed. We stayed up late, we watched movies. She went to sleep, we both did. I woke up in the morning and I looked in her room, she wasn't there. I came downstairs, she was sitting right upright on the couch watching something on TV. And I said, how are you feeling? And she said, fine. She was like, I actually feel a lot better. So this is Christmas morning. She said, the pain in my head is gone, or the pain in my back is gone. She said, but my head doesn't feel great and my eye feels a bit funny. And I just fobbed it off because I was like, oh, you're probably run down. Because again, look, 18 years of age, burning the candle at both ends, college, being out, you know, and holidays kick in and all of a sudden then your body breaks down. So I just said it was probably a sty, because I said that, you know, if she had a viral infection or so on and so forth, then that would be how you're feeling. I remember probably around 6, 7 o'clock, she would have kind of been sitting on the couch and saying, you know, I don't feel great. Whereas up until then, she would have just been no worse than you or I if we had a headache. You know, where you'd be kind of like in with the Christmas banter and so on and so forth, but you know, you wouldn't be totally yourself. But no, it changed after a certain time where she got a bit, I suppose a bit quieter, asked if we turn the Christmas lights off. You know, those flashy ones, they started to bother her then. Now, bear in mind, this is a girl now that's staring at a laptop all day. You know, not a bother on her and her head and so on and so forth, was well able. Yeah, asked to turn the Christmas lights off, we did. And then EastEnders came on, of course, which is, you know, the main important event of all of Christmas. And she started, I remember, throughout EastEnders to get even worse. There was an asking of painkillers, when was the last time she had taken one, you know, were we to give her more and so on and so forth. And then she started to vomit. When we started to think about doctor, we started to think, you know, okay, right, should we go? And she was kind of saying, oh no. But then again, 20 minutes had made a huge difference. The minute we saw vomiting, we felt it was quite important to, you know, get a move on. So my father, we rang Westdock. My father brought her in to Westdock, and she wasn't long in there at all. She had just left our house. She sat on the bottom of our stairs and I'd gotten her new pyjamas for Christmas. And then she just walked outside, went into the back of the car, waved. And then she went into Westdock. He knew straight away something wasn't right. He literally just sent her on her way straight away into the hospital. So she went into A&E, which I think was around 10 o'clock. She would have gone into A&E, and she got progressively worse very fast. They put her on morphine, and they gave her a certain amount, which would be, I think, the norm. And then I think that they felt she was still complaining about the pain in her head, and that she never, then I think the worry started when a certain amount of morphine they were giving her wasn't clearing up the pain in the head, that she was still complaining under a certain amount of it. So I didn't feel for 1 second, if I was honestly being honest with myself, that there was anything more than a severe, infection or a cold with her, but not, anything more than that. I was in the high dependency unit, hooked up to a load of machines, and looked exactly like Sive, just had, it was strange to see her, with tubes and so on and so forth. My friends were with me. This is around, so this is nearing on 8 o'clock in the morning, so we're on 8 o'clock Stevens this morning now. Slowly more people arrived. I'd spoken to doctors. I can't really remember conversations, and all I know is at that point, when I spoke to my parents, they told me what they had been told, but they had been on the phone to me 4 o'clock in the morning. That phone call I had before I went to bed was when a doctor had come into them telling them that maybe that they felt things were going to be okay and so on and so forth. At that time, Sive was actually fitting. And the doctor was speaking to my parents, and my parents were completely unaware of this, because obviously they weren't there. They'd been talking about how things may be looking up. But at that time, Sive started to have a seizure inside in the theatre/room, wherever she was, and she never came out of it. And that was it. So we knew we were on to bacterial meningitis at this point. Bloods had come back. The strain, nothing more we didn't know. But at that point in time, she was more or less in a coma, and she was, in high dependency. More and more people arrived at the hospital. I don't think the hospital has ever seen anything like it. The whole of the ICU department was just filled with young people, friends, family. I was an autopilot, naturally enough, just going in and out. We were speaking to doctors throughout the day. No one ever had to tell me that she had died. I kind of knew it. I'd have some people kind of coming up to me saying, oh, she could be okay and so on and so forth. But I just knew it was strange. I didn't, sometimes you see these people where they need to be told. I just got it. And I think once I'd seen her, it was so strange, because to see a body and then I just knew that she wasn't there anymore. No one had to actually point it out to me. I had my grandparents there saying the decades of the rosary and so on and so forth. And, it was obviously strange, because everything, in 24 hours, how different things had gotten. I have a family that witnessed it firsthand when she was 17 months old. We'd be vigilant people. My parents are teachers. I would have worked in a pharmacy for 5 years. And I would have taken a big interest in, things like that, as in illnesses and so on and so forth. None of us saw it coming. And were absolutely dumbfounded when we found out what it was. No rash, but no rash at 17 months old and no rash at 18. But rash, again, is septicemia. It's not meningitis. So, there doesn't need to be a rash. No massive dislike of bright lights. I've mentioned all these things throughout the story in order to repeat them again, and there was a reason why I did. The laptop for the whole day. I sit in front of my Mac for too long and I get a headache. She was practically 5 hours YouTubing, downloading, so on and so forth. It was only towards the end, the Christmas lights were starting to bother and so on and so forth. It was stuff that happened, we're talking Wednesday, she went home from work. She died on Saturday morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. It went on for practically 3 days. So as fast as an illness as it likes to let itself be, it's not that fast at the same time. So there is a bit of time given, but you need to be vigilant. Just, I suppose, vigilance. I can't stress that enough. Gut feeling. Maybe, sometimes don't even wait for that. Just go beforehand. So what? go to the doctor. You're not being stupid. You know what I mean? Nobody, you know, and then maybe if you feel you need to scream at somebody and tell them to hurry up or to, you know, check this out, do it. Because at the end of the day, it's better to be safe than sorry.
Drawn into the backdrop here, you could fade away. Bright lights on a starless night, burn a hole in the dying day. Looking at life through a loaded gun. Take your best shot, aim it at the sun. Looking at